All right, we're going to take a trip way back in time. I'm talking 6,000 years, to what was then the wealthiest city in the entire world, Babylon. Now, why are we doing this? Well, it's because the secrets to building wealth that they figured out on those ancient sun-baked streets, they are just as powerful today. It's kind of crazy, right? We're about to unpack some seriously timeless financial wisdom. And this quote right here, this really gets to the heart of it. It's the core idea from George S. Clason's classic book. Think about it. The rules of money are timeless. They're like gravity. They just work. What helped people build fortunes back in Babylon can absolutely work for you right now. Sure, we've got smartphones instead of clay tablets, but the fundamental principles, they haven't changed one bit. So let's get into the story. I want you to meet our main guy, Bansir. This man is a master chariot builder. I mean, one of the best in all of Babylon. He works his tail off, he's incredibly skilled. And yet, he's flat broke. His purse is always empty. Sound familiar at all? I think we've all felt that at some point. And it's this exact frustration that really kicks off this whole journey. Okay, a rich city, empty purses. This really is the central paradox of the story, isn't it? It gets you thinking. How can you be struggling so much when you're literally surrounded by incredible wealth? Let's dive into that. So picture this. Bansir is sitting there with his best friend, Kobe, who's a fantastic musician. Both of these guys are at the top of their game, and they work from sunup to sundown. But they have this moment of brutal honesty with each other. Their purses are just as empty as anyone else's, and it hits them like a ton of bricks. For all their skill, for all their hard work, they have absolutely nothing to show for it. And that moment of despair, it leads to this huge breakthrough. They realize they've been working hard, but they've never actually worked smart. They've never actively tried to build wealth. They had no plan. So right then and there, they make a pact. No more hoping for luck to fall out of the sky. They're going to seek out the one man in all of Babylon who has clearly cracked the code, Arcad, the richest man in the city. All right, now we're getting to the good part, the richest man's secret. This is that critical turning point, you know? They're done complaining about the problem. Now they're actively hunting for the solution. And they go straight to the top. Here's the thing you have to know about Arcad. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Not at all. He started out as a humble scribe, just carving away on clay tablets for a few measly coppers a day. So what on earth did he figure out that took him from that to being the wealthiest man in the city? What was the secret? And here it is. This is the big one. The single most important line in the entire book. His mentor, an old moneylender named Algamesh, told him this, and it just flipped a switch in his brain. I found the road to wealth when I decided that a part of all I earned was mine to keep. Just let that sink in for a second. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. So what does that actually mean? Well, it's a total game changer. This isn't about saving whatever scraps are left over at the end of the month. No, this is a complete mindset shift. You have to treat your savings like it's the most important bill you have. It comes first. Before you pay for your food, before you pay your rent, you pay yourself. Arcad started with a simple rule. At least 1/10 of every single copper he earned, he kept. Okay, so that's the big, powerful idea, right? But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? That brings us to what the book calls the cures for a lean purse. Arcad actually laid out 7 of these, but we're going to focus on the first 3 big ones right now. It's basically a simple 3-step plan. First, you start fattening your purse, as he calls it, by saving that 10%. Easy enough. Second, you have to control your spending. You got to learn to live on the 90% that's left over. And then third, and this is where the real magic starts, you make your gold multiply. You put that savings to work. And Arcad had this really powerful way of explaining it. He said that your savings should never just sit there, gathering dust. Every single gold piece you save is like a slave that can go out and work for you. And every little copper that slave earns, that's its child. And that child can go out and earn for you too. I mean, what a brilliant way to describe what we now call compounding, right? The book gives this just incredible example to show you how powerful this is. There's a story about a farmer who invests just 10 pieces of silver for his newborn son, and then he just leaves it alone. Over 50 years, just through the power of compounding, that tiny amount grows to 167 pieces of silver. It multiplied itself almost 17 times without him ever adding another coin. Now that is the power of putting your money's children to work.
Okay, so you're saving, you're putting your money to work, but how do you protect it from vanishing? That's where the 5 laws of gold come in. This is all about how to guard your treasure and make sure it grows wisely.
So let's jump to the third law. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. I love that old language. Basically, it means you need to get expert advice. You protect your money by listening to people who actually know what they're doing, people with a proven track record.
And the analogy they use in the book is just perfect. You wouldn't go to a brickmaker and ask him about the stars, would you? So why would you ask a brickmaker for advice on investing in rare jewels? It seems obvious, but we do it all the time. You have to get advice from people who are experts in that specific field. And law number 4 is another huge one. Gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar. This is a timeless warning, folks. Basically, stay in your lane. Stick to what you know. If you invest in something you don't understand, you're pretty much just gambling. And guess what? Arcad learned this one the hard way. He took his entire first year's savings, all that hard work, and gave it to a guy named Asmir, a brickmaker, who said he was going to travel and buy rare jewels. He trusted a brickmaker to do a jeweler's job, and the result? The jewels came back and they were just worthless bits of glass. He lost everything. A painful lesson for sure, but one he never forgot. Finally, law number 5. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers. This is the classic warning against get-rich-quick schemes. If something sounds too good to be true, promising insane returns, it absolutely is. It's just hiding an insane amount of risk. The book calls these opportunities deceitful sirens, like in the old myths, luring sailors to crash on the rocks. It's the same idea. They lure you in with promises of easy riches, and you end up losing everything. The real wisdom here is that a small, safe, consistent return is so much better than chasing some huge prize that could wipe you out. So, wisdom is greater than gold. When you pull it all together, you realize this book isn't just about stacking up gold coins. It's about something much deeper. It's about building the wisdom to get wealth, to keep it, and to make it grow for the rest of your life. So let's just circle right back to the beginning, back to that one core idea. If you take away only one thing from all of this, let it be this quote right here. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Seriously, this is the seed. Everything else grows from this single, powerful decision. And that, right there, is why these ideas have stuck around for thousands of years. They aren't just clever tips or life hacks. They're fundamental laws, just like gravity. They worked for a humble scribe in ancient Babylon, and they will work for anyone, anywhere, who decides to actually use them. So, you see, these lessons from Babylon aren't just some dusty old history lesson. They're a challenge, a call to action for you right now. Your own journey to wealth starts with one simple choice, with a single coin saved. It starts with the very next dollar that comes into your possession. The only question is, what are you going to do with yours?